Hi, everybody. So today Rex and Julianne are here with me, and we're going to talk about what it looks like and what it feels like when you meet your soul tribe. So we've all had past lives together, and it's really important that you kind of have, what the feeling is when you meet somebody from your soul tribe. So I'm going to actually let Rex go first because I know he had an immediate reaction when he saw us the first time.
Very much. I've been awake maybe let's say since 2003, somewhere around there. Um, it was the 9/11 that kind of got me going down the rabbit hole, and I started finding bits and pieces of things that I'd spend 2 to 3 days digging around, and it would open up another avenue to another avenue. And so I started finding these things and didn't know how they went together really. And so time goes on, and then there's more, and then there's just synchronicities of why do I see 22 all the time? Why every time I look at the clock it's 5:22, it's 4:22, it's 3:22. That sent me down another. And so I had all these pieces together, and then I noticed the sun. I'm a weather enthusiast, so I always marked in my yard the sun going down, the sun coming up in different places, just so I know. And it's not happening in those spots anymore, just like it's supposed to be. And so that was weird. So down another rabbit hole. And then one day I was, let's see, I guess I was watching Tarot by Janine, but I don't even think that was it. That was it. Can I say that? Tarot by Janine on here?
Just don't say it over and over.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
because
yeah.
for some reason that's not okay on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
How
So
rude.
somehow Honey had one of those hidden histories pops up, and was suggestion, and I went, oh, that's down my. I mean, that's exactly. What's she have to say about this? She clicked on that, and opens up the panel of people, and she was talking, and all of a sudden it was like instant warmth. Just, whew. I was just sat back and I go, wow, because what she was saying at that particular episode of what was everything that I knew already, that I had found in bits and pieces, and didn't know how to put it together because I thought, I'd run in and tell my wife, oh, this is what I found. And she goes, okay, stop. And the show, yes, what? And it was like, she's awake now. That election made her jump in there and run. Okay. But before that, it was just, I said, well, I'm just going to tell you what I know. The moon, this or that, or this or that. But Honey was just hitting it all on spot. And I was like, and there was such a warmth. It was like, I'm always guarded for that kind of stuff, and didn't realize why, but it was more tense as I would take on somebody's. I was like, oh, somebody may be too showy, too cartoony is what I call it, and that would turn me off. Where it was the information was kind of there, and then it would go so far, and then they would say something I knew wasn't true. And I go, oh. So that would kind of like, oh, didn't that? And so I've been wandering around out there. Well, I'm back to Honey again. That was just like I sat back, and it was just a warmth from all of them. And when they would start to talk, I was like, I get it. I get that. That, oh my God. And this put this piece together, and this put this piece together. Now my picture is starting to come together why that was the way it was. I was just glued. And everything that Honey would say was coming to me in a warm way versus a rigid way that it would come before, where I had to kind of like, okay, stop, it's getting too much. I've got to decode this before I'm going to accept it because I've done this too long. But it wasn't that way. That's when I felt this warmth. So I started commenting. I do that. So I would comment on a couple of them, and she would recognize that and comment back, or people would like her or whatever. But then one day I wanted to know about football because I thought, oh no, are we not going to have that? What's going to happen? Wait. So I had to ask that specific question, and she answered it. And I was like, wow, she answered. So we had a little dialogue going for a little bit. Then I went, okay, Rex, stop, because that's just weird. Because you don't want to think it's just weird. And so let it go. But she actually, when she contacted me, I thought, wow, I felt like I could talk to her for days. Okay, immediately. And then she had readings that she would do and whatever. And so I lined up for one of those. And I thought, Rex, you're a talker. So what you're going to do is you won't schedule yourself for the last one for the day because you don't want her to have to go. I got to go to the next one, and so I put that in there for 2:31, and got on there, and she had to pull me away. She goes, "Okay, all right," but I don't know how she felt when she saw me for the first time, but that was I was at home with her. It was just like, oh, I could sit back and just go, talk to me, yeah, and it was like we never, like when you have those friends that you can pick up where you left off and 10 years ago, and you see them and you go, oh, well, then there's other friends you can't go 1 week and you go, okay, all right, that kind of thing. But this was like an eon, and I sat back and go, okay, let's pick up where we left off. Oh, and I felt real comfortable, and that's how I didn't know that was Soul Tribe then. I just knew that this one tells me everything. This channel tells me everything I need to know. I'm on board with that, and I get it. It's like I know it already when she's saying it, even though I didn't, And that's how I've got to it, and that's how I, feel that the difference. Where there's others now that I still these days I discover other people. I'm telling you, there's like again the cartoon part of it, with the sexiness or the whatever, all of the. I just want the real, because I can see through it anyway. Because I'm intuitive, very intuitive, so I can see right through all the low cut and all the carrying on.
Right.
Just tell me what it is, because I'm seeing your soul here. That's all I need. Anyway, that's what it meant for me. And then of course Julianne comes along a little bit later on. She's hysterical, and I identify with her and some of the others in there. So
yeah,
there's me.
So when I first met you, Rex, there was like a zing of energy. So for me, that's what it was. Like I knew right away that I knew you. And later on, I figured out how. So we've had many lifetimes together. The most prevalent one, you were on a ship and I was on a ship, and you were kind of like Spock-like. So you were very serious. You had your tablet in front of you, and you were like reporting. Like you were reporting to me whatever it was that you're like you were supposed to get messages to me. And then I had to decide what to do with them. And that's what I remember. But also then it came through that you had lots of lifetimes with Julianne and two other ladies that are very close. So I'll let Julianne describe that.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't say that. I mean, it's all been very comfortable and it's evolved very naturally. Like the whole thing started, with Honey and I have known each other for a very long time, and had a gap where we really didn't talk or whatever because she moved away. But with all the nonsense that was going on through the social media, of course, we got reconnected, and we're just probably talking small talk, which turned into, to look back on it, I really can't even think of how it really kind of evolved. But, and I was dealing with some things, physically and stuff, which started to correlate with our connection. So we found out that we were together in some past lives too, but the one was the most pertinent to my situation. So I needed to go through some healing and so forth. I have not had the ability to look back into the different lives myself. So I go on what I have gotten from Honey or other readings I've had. But I will say it just, my gut, my intuition that way, like I've had a pretty good, I would call it my bullshit alarm. Okay. It's been working all my life. Okay. I just didn't realize, how and why I was kind of so direct about things. So everything that I've been doing with Honey on the channel has just gradually evolved as she has listened to the guidance of her higher self. And I have learned to do the same. We have learned to be very cautionary, very careful as to how we approach things, people, and whatever, because it's about moving forward. You have to recognize the evil and the bad that we're trying to eradicate in this world, but you don't dwell on it. and then you get out of it. You don't let them hold you in a state of fear. Okay. And that holds your growth back as well. So with the various different people that have come in, whether it's through our hidden history group or whatnot, and then when Rex came along, I think it's your personality too, because yes, I do, you know, I'm a jokester. I'm kind of like, you know, if you have no humor, you have nothing. Okay, come on. You know, sometimes that's all you can do is just use humor to get through either difficult situations or stuff where you're just speechless. And you seem to resonate with that and respond. I could have a conversation with you. You were kind of appreciating that, I think, because some people are like, oh my gosh, there she goes again. You know what I mean? So I kind of saw you as, oh, maybe you're my partner in crime. Maybe you can, you know, maybe I can get away with some of this stuff with you. And then I learned that, yes, indeed, we had, well, several lives, but the two on the earthly lives, we were siblings primarily. Okay, I think one was back in Egypt times or something. I don't have my notes with me, but the other one I think was in the like mid 1800s or something like that.
Late
But
1700s.
or 1700s. Okay, and basically you were my little bro, and just kind of the way you respond to some of the banter that we have and stuff. I'm like, okay, they're little bro. You just it actually resonates so much with me. So I'm looking forward to, you know, maybe having glimpses of my own, you know what I mean, on my own, learning some details. And I just know that is going to authentically come again as we move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And was there something I kind of forgot that you wanted to mention about any of that? It just is fun to learn, and it's to encompass, like, once you realize that, first of all, this is not the only life, you know, and then you're gone and it's done, that there are many lives. That's a mind blower for many of us, because I was, you know, kind of taught that's evil, that's wrong, like, no way. So that's the first thing you have to process. And then you process that, you know, you picked your life. You actually picked each one of these lives, and I'm like, that's a mind blower again. And that you find out, well, I'm here for a reason. I actually chose it to be here at this time, and there's a reason behind it, and starting to learn your purpose in this mission. And then you are, it's no mistake that people who come into your life or who you start to resonate with are for a reason. And, you know, it's up to you to pick up on it. I suppose there's reasons, or some people just don't get it. And if they don't get it, they miss out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to do that, to keep in touch with them too.
Right.
To be willing to step out of our little box and keep in touch with them.
And then learn that, you know, like for those people who have, maybe they're in their awakening now, but they're still stuck in 3D and with all their friends now, like it's all about being popular, or all those friends from high school. Well, again, I am not the same today as I was even yesterday or last week. We're not the same. And I told my daughter, particularly when she had, you know, frustrations with people that hurt her or just kind of abandoned her, I said, you know what, your friends are going to change, you know, and you know that it isn't right when they just kind of disappear. There's a reason, you know. There is a saying I've always said, rejection is God's protection. Now what I mean, you can put universe protection or whatever, but there's a, you know, you've got your guides, you've got people that are kind of leading you without you knowing. So you just have to recognize it, accept it, and let that blossom, and it'll take you where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing there with what you said is your soul family, soul tribe. Don't expect it to be the family that you that you grew up with.
That's right.
I'm here to tell you that I'm the oldest of 4, and I'm alone and all, because the other 3 that I can relate to them in no way. It was growing up with them was always, I was the one you needed to keep in check, because with their fictitious stories and their narcissistic ways about, you know, I could read through that and I would say, but that's not what happened. But that's not what, and it would just, so you need to keep Rex quiet. You need to put him in his place early. And so I got to where I didn't like those, and there was some
family gatherings.
family gatherings were always just a stress, it was just, I was on edge the minute I walked in there, because I knew I was around a bunch of fake people, and I could see right through it all. And so,
well, yeah,
you didn't have to have enemies when you grew up in a family like mine. There was jealousy in it. There was all kinds of, I'm thinking, why in the world, how can you not be just support? I just was nothing like
yeah.
them. That's
Well,
what I can tell you.
yeah.
Finding people like this group with, that you just can sit back really and just say anything you want to say, and they get it, and there's no judgment to any of that,
Right.
because we've already been through this. The souls
Right.
know each other. Like I say, the souls meet 50 feet before you do. And so, and they're already talking, and they're either in love in the fact that, and I mean love, because let's not get, you can love
Yeah.
people in all different ways. So let's, we're not
Well,
going to say
agape love, if you want to go that way, the unconditional love
yeah,
that you have for humanity.
exactly.
Yeah.
And my soul can meet that person 50 feet before I get
Right.
there, and already is going, oh my God, yeah, and they're just talking and they're having a great time. And I'm like, oh, this is so and so, and then all of a sudden I'm there going, well, hi, and it's a warm feeling.
Yeah.
That same thing is what happens with Soul Tribe. It's like
Right.
they have already started talking before you do.
It takes your feelings to another level, like you said, with our own family. Some people have been very fortunate, and they have had, just peaceful, really loving, and do everything together families, and that's great. And maybe that was what they wanted, that they chose. But the old saying, you can pick your friends, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your family, I'm sure has kind of come from all the dissension over the years. And honey, my question might be, it's more often than not, there's so many elements that have come into dividing the family unit. But as I was finding out, a lot of times you are placed, because you pick your parents, right? You pick your parents, you pick your story, and you maybe are doing this because you were brought to that situation for a reason. Like there's a purpose behind it. You don't see it when you're in your 3D avatar life.
Yeah.
But so that's been mind blowing as well. And again, many people, like for me, you're a higher being, and you're coming into super 3D, super whatever, and you're really trying to help these individuals. They're your family here on earth, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And also we've been spaced out, like, distributed out geographically.
Right.
But now's the time where we're coming back together. So the way I see a soul tribe, excuse the props. So like this will be the middle circle of your soul tribe. So you've got maybe 12 people here at most, 12 souls. Then you'll have another group right next to that group. So these two groups are interacting every lifetime. And then you have one around that group that's bigger and bigger and bigger. And basically it looks like a flower. So it looks like the flower of life.
The lotus
you're creating. Yeah. And everybody's interacting with other people. But those two circles, like that's what's really coming together right now, is your original soul tribe and the circle right around it.
Your core.
Yeah. So you have the core and then your circle. And these people, which I think a lot of times it's in the 40 plus amount of people. So in the middle is like 12, and then on the outside's like 34 at the most, and 12 at the most in the middle. But basically these people are gathering together every lifetime to learn their lessons together. And it's beautiful to watch, and it's so beautiful to meet them.
Can I ask a question? In the past, it's always been happening, right? With every lifetime, with every generation, that's been going on, even with a reincarnation wheel and everything. So, but now we're leading to the golden age, and all of that is going to be like the veil will be lifted. Everything will be, because we come into our all knowing. So we won't have to necessarily be finding or searching for our tribe. We will authentically know it.
We'll just know.
Is that how? Yeah. We'll just know, and that won't change anymore.
It won't change anymore, because basically we came in here with a purpose. So we all agreed on the other side. Okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to play this role. I'm going to do this thing. This is what I'm going to learn while I'm there. And it's all been about our mission. So the parents that we've chosen have been people that can further our mission in this lifetime.
Right. And you can
And-
say what
yeah.
what you want about the internet or like the technology. So if this has been going on forever with people, souls reincarnating, there's some good things with the connection we have with internet, because look at how we are able to broadcast and see and talk, cameras or not, but there are people across the world, people that you never would have had a chance to meet or talk to. That's
Yeah.
allowing us to grab and reunite with these people. So that's
Right.
not an accident either.
No, it's not an accident. And this is the lifetime where we're all supposed to come back together.
Mhm.
So when you have that spark inside of you, like you meet someone and you can talk for an hour about whatever subject you want, get that person's number.
Yeah.
Don't just immediately like say, oh, well, that was a great meeting and let them go.
Right.
That was something important.
That's a
There
good point.
There
Yeah.
are people, I firmly believe that, because there are people in your past that'll say that in a job you worked in 12 years ago and had a confrontation with someone there that you know, and now you're gone and moving on and whatever, but that person was all of a sudden in a restaurant in the front window eating with somebody as you walk in, and you just go, wow, okay. Was this an opportunity you're supposed to, you know, that happened to me, but I didn't go talk to him. But should I? You know, I always think after that, you know, why was that in my face again?
Well,
you know,
would you say only if you felt led to, honey? Because it could be a synchronistic event.
Yeah. I mean, you can go into that restaurant and you can say, I would like to apologize ahead of time, but I walked by and I recognize you. Do I know you from somewhere?
Mhm. Yeah, I got over the fact that I might not be able to remember somebody's name, but I would recognize who they are. And I got over the fact of worrying, well, I can't go up to them because I don't know their name. I'll just say, I'm sorry, you look really familiar to me. You know what I mean? And open up the conversation. What's the worst I can do? Say, no, I don't know you. I don't, you know, or I don't want to talk or whatever. Well, God bless you, or bless you and have a good day.
yeah,
Whatever.
I'm much better about not caring what people think in
Oh,
moments.
yeah.
Yeah, I've really almost lost that completely to the point where, you know, I don't want it to seem, I still have an edge to where I don't want it to be too weird, but you know, then again I go, you know, I don't really care if it's too weird or not, because this whole world is weird and everything, you know, if you want to put it that way. And it's there was something I was going to say too about what you were saying about you know, within the religious groups, and believe me, grew up in that, the big one.
Mhm.
It speaks of, you know, the when you go to communion, the oneness and all the, you know, I've never felt so isolated in all my life. That whole dogma and stuff, I think, is to separate you, because I've often thought on the farm, I'm not the only one. Am I for whatever it is that I'm thinking about, or you know, am I the only one that likes, you know, this hobby or this, you know, because no one around me does, and you know, whatever it would be, I'm making that up as an example, but there's been many times that things that, am I the only one? And
Yeah.
you find out you're really not the only, you know, they're you know, when that's with internet and things have opened up clubs and things that sort of like flags, for instance. Okay, let's flags. For some reason, I'm #1 in the world on flag recognition of all flags of the world, instantaneously, the fastest. So
Really?
yeah, when you put up a flag of Israel, I know, you know, I just know, I know them all, and I didn't have to learn them. I just know them when I see them. I just, and for whatever that is, who does that, and what do you have with that? You know, how good? Who's interested in flags? You know, with internet, you finally learn that there are people, and that, you know, there is a place, 8 million people that work on that, and who's #1? Me. And every time I'm not, I go make sure that I am, and I go play it again, because I got to make sure that I'm the fast.
So this is a game or like a recognition kind of.
Well, it's a recognition. You can play it like that game, but in all, also, all the flags of the world, and and just the thing
So
about
you really like history though, right? I mean, you were
Oh,
really
yeah.
into the history, so that's you're inquisitive into that. But honey, do you get any other specific reason why?
So he's been a compiler. So over time, over lifetimes, you've been a researcher and a compiler of evidence.
Ooh.
So you're always doing that. And either you're getting the evidence to relay the evidence, or you're just collecting the evidence to figure out what's going on.
It's interesting because when I see clips of now there's going to be this war thing going on with Ukraine or whatever they say. Okay. But in the beginning, there was not, because the clips that were coming back, I would bust it wide open just because of the crowds that they would put in, the flags they would put in there, the flags weren't right. And I would tell you immediately, I go, that's not their flag. That flag was that's 25 years old, that flag. That's the one from when, nope, that's a fake piece of clip. And, I would try to tell somebody that in the real world, and I go, those aren't real. Oh, there's Rex again. And I was like, oh, they're going to get stuck up there one day as much as you keep rolling them. But, that's okay. Because I know this. I know these flags, and I know for what little piece of information that was.
Yeah, well,
that whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was the litmus test for you. But let me ask you this, Mr. Flag expert. So when it comes to just our USA, our American flag, we're learning so much about fringe, no fringe, how you do, like what you do with it and all the, like, are you pretty good about all that part of things? Do you have all that straight?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And when it's upside down, or when it's this, or when it's, how you display it, and
Okay.
I know, and I would say that the flags of the states that are blue with crests don't come to me as fast as just the flags of the world would, because Vermont, and you've got Virginia, and they all look the same. But like Colorado, I know it. In Washington, you've got a crest on yours, don't you? It's blue with one. Yeah. So yeah. I have to those you have to hone in on. But California, Nevada, those I can pretty much, Nevada's I think's got one too. It's got a crest like thing on it, if I remember right. But I don't really concentrate so much on those. It's the world flags and the history of those. Okay. And there's always something telling in a flag. I'm telling you that, like in the Middle East, they all have black in them for the most part. And when there's symbolisms, and there's all this that goes into that, and they can group that way. If they have, the black, like Kuwait and Afghanistan and Iran, Iraq, they all have black. And
you know what? I smell a whole nother video with this.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it sounds like it's pretty interesting.
They all have, like Texas was the French flag originally. They didn't know what to do with it, and it had, the three bars of the French flag, the blue, white, and red, and then put a star in the French blue part, and that's what it was at first. And then they started arranging it, and then it was Texas. It was blue with the Texas, and then it goes on and on. But the point is back to the point was that that little bit of information is not so much no one cares about all that, right? But it's told things for me that when people have been BSing me, or they show me these clips of these riots, and they're putting up the Chilean flag, and say it's Texas is there, and they're upset. That's the closest flag that looks like Texas, but it's not Texas. And so just things like that they try to slip through people, and people, oh yeah. So but that's what the internet has done, is opened up things that way. That absolutely belong somewhere, that you can actually find a place where there's somebody does have that weird likeness of flags for whatever. Anyway, cool.
That's a neat little sidebar. I like it. And honey, when you're talking about I think it is worthy of mentioning the synchronicities that happen, as far as when you're trying to identify at this time particularly who resonates with you, whether it is somebody from the past that you all of a sudden see. So those synchronistic events, why, like that person that you're all of a sudden thinking about, like, why am I thinking about that person? We weren't that close, or I didn't like them, or I need to call that person, or somebody actually calls you out of the blue. I mean, those are all little signs to pay attention to. right? Or how you feel when, like you said, when you're just shopping or you're in a group and you actually find somebody who actually really is lighting up when you're talking about something that you normally don't get to engage with people.
Right.
That's a sign.
It is.
Yes. And birds were another thing. I know a lot about birds. I have a side degree, I'm going to call that, in ornithology. It's like I love anything that flies. Okay, so aviation. I make scale 1/400 airports. Like I said, I have a lot of hobbies, and you felt like you're the only one who wants to build a little bitty airport with all the airlines, and who knows all the like United Airlines is actually Texas International, and it should be, except that they changed the names with it because it was more recognized and blah blah. But these are just things that who cares?
Yeah.
But
So it resonated with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but anything that flew, all the birds I could on recognition, and my wife has got to where she loves birds now. She can recognize them all. I'm like, wow, it's not just that red bird anymore. Hercules. I mean,
Hercules.
But it's just, it's those things that you get when you find a tribe group,
right?
When it's that same feeling of, it's just something you can't. And like I know that if I had a lot of friends, I've let a lot of it go, because when you find out that you give, because I'm a friend, I'm loyal. Right off the bat, I'm going to be that for you. I'm going to be loyal. I'm going to be, there for you and all that. But when you don't, and I don't do it to chalk up that so that I can get that in return. It should just automatically be that way.
Right.
You shouldn't have to work at it. But
You shouldn't have to work.
Go, wow. Let's just not be so available and see what happens. Well, I guess what happens?
You don't see them. Yeah.
And
that's very telling.
And family's great at it. Boy, aren't they? They write the book.
Well, I've always said we all have the same amount of hours in the day, and how you spend your time is very telling on that. And I don't have the time to give back to somebody who's not going to be actively reciprocating. Not that I need it all the time, but at least acknowledging and interacting, because I have other people I can move on to and other things to do.
Well, and betrayal is so easy these days, much more so. It's in every part of the news of such. But betrayal is something I don't need a second chance, because I'm not going to do that to you the first time. Okay, so if I don't like something that, let's just say it's a family thing, or within the tribe of sort, if I don't like something that you do, I will tell you off the side. I'm not going to not love you, but I'm going to tell you that, hey, that wasn't so right that you did that to that person, because whatever it is. But on the outside, somebody attacked one of mine. No, you're not. You're not going to do that, because you don't know what I'm going to be there to defend that.
Yeah,
and I can say on the inside what's going on. Well, but on the outside, I'm going to be there for you.
And I think the more that you actually are doing that, genuinely cultivating and keeping the tribe that works for you, you increase your space of love, your vibration of love and everything. And so therefore, when you do interject just randomly with people, depending on if they come back sour or whatever, it causes you to recognize that quicker, and to maybe just kind of almost feel sorry for them and act and give them love instead of, shoot right back, at them. Yeah. And because that's the right thing to do, is something that I'm still working on a little bit, not to be so reactive, but.
Yeah. It's childlike too. Like when you meet somebody in your soul tribe, you feel like a kid again. Right. Like you kind of feel like, ooh, I'm excited. This is so fun. Child. And the energy exchange is really good. So I think that's the main thing to think about. When you very first meet somebody, how do you feel? Right. Right.
And start recognizing when you're out, at events that allow you to broaden your spectrum, if you will. See who you can have a conversation with, and just kind of take note of that, and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's time for us to all come together.
It is. In the 3D world, the men don't really have friends as much as, I don't think, as much as the women can do. We're just, I don't know. It just doesn't, And that's always something that's kind of neat, is if you had a guy friend that you could do things with that liked what you like, besides necessarily going the three triad of going hunting, boating, or, those things, golfing. Okay, I can't stand to golf. I didn't grow up that way. I grew up roping cows, and so that's what I was wanted to be, world champion that. Okay, but golf was not introduced to me till later in college, and I thought it was the most boring thing in the world. It was more fun on the golf cart with the girls with the beer there. That's where I would find myself instead of worrying about what iron I'm going to pick up.
Exactly.
I've done that 3 times in my life. I hate it. But that's when, get away from your wife all day long, and you can go out there, 8 hours and do that, and, yawn, talk about something not fun. But the best deals are made out there, and that's where all the,
Well, again, put your time into stuff that you enjoy and the people that you enjoy being with. And what I will also say is the more we do that, and again, we're evolving and staying in a space of love, that unconditional love for humanity, and that's what's going to shoot us into this even faster, is they've said many times, when you're with strangers, that you do not know what that person that you are seeing, you can't know what their experiences are, what they're thinking, or what has happened that day. Mm-hmm. You might just that simple gesture, oh, I love the color of your hat, or I love the, or, oh, you look really nice today, or whatever, or you're holding the door open. They say that we may have entertained angels many times and not been aware.
Yeah. And to acknowledge your soul tribe and continue the relationship is self-love.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you're feeding each other with good energy. So just remember that it's such a good thing. And you're all going to start to come together pretty quickly here. Yep.
And what I wanted to mention, it came to me too, is that one of our tribe has the all men's channel chat for those that want to talk about what they know about awakening and what may seem weird that they don't want to say anything to, like they always see these numbers, or they always, certain things are starting to happen for them that are odd. Because I'll let you deal with that, honey, because I'm not going to say names and such, but who, I'm talking, I'm involved in that men's group with one of our, with, who, can I say? With Scott's group.
We can,
yeah. I mean, that's another one. I haven't been there the last week, I missed it, but you just, when you go there, you just sit and listen.
But that's for the men. That's primary for the men. Yeah.
What they see is weird and normal that maybe won't fit in with what their wife thinks, or because we're wakening up, and it's not always together, and that both of you are, and that mine wasn't awake, and I just kept on going though. I just kept on saying, stop. She says, what? Stop her show, and then I tell her, she goes, why does everything have to be so negative? I go, because this world is bad. And you just need, in one day, I'm just not going to be able to take you back to the beginning of time and tell you this is why we need to act this way right now, and gather and leave and do whatever we needed to do. Because I was always saying that this country has to go to a military. So I have a degree in political science as well. But anyway, through that processes of all that, I learned that, in order for us to develop to another, we're going to have to go through a military. We will. That's the pattern. In order to change this government, we'll have to go through military and martial law. We will. I was saying that in 2012 with Obama.
Wow. Yeah.
I was saying
we've all been waiting a long time. So
and I had more rolling eyes in the family, and oh God, no. And I just kept on. I just said, you know what? Laugh all you want. One day. Well, I'm not around him anymore, but this one day will come, and they'll know.
Yeah, well, that's a great little plug because I think the men do need to have their own outlet too, because even amongst other men friends who don't get it, you need to have a place to grow and to acknowledge that your feelings are right, or what they are. So Thank you. It's been so fun to discuss this. And little bro, I just love, we all kind of talk with our hands, but you also talk with your face and your expressions. Just wait till we actually meet. I got jokes for you.
It's coming.
it is like the little kid thing, because I get all excited, and for me, I'm the youngest one in this, and I have a lot to share, a lot to tell, a lot to, and so I have to contain that in this little frame of here. So I do what I can for that, because once it's ironed itself out, I'll be much calmer with it.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm it's not every day this happens, and it doesn't, and it won't.
Okay,
So,
Rex, let's just do a virtual high five.
and
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Uh,
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Yep.
And thank you so much, Rex and Julianne.
You're
This
welcome.
was beautiful.
It was.
All right, have a great day.